Welcome to Veterans United, a program sponsored by the Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. I'm Nick Howland, Navy veteran, your host, and Executive Director of the Firewatch. In this program, you'll meet 2 or 3 veterans who will share their challenges and experiences since leaving active duty. You'll also meet a couple civilians who are doing great things for veterans here in Northeast Florida. In the meantime, you can help. There's a role for everybody. Visit thefirewatch.org and register as a watchstander. Learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis. Learn to get veterans the help they need. Together, we can end veteran suicide here in Northeast Florida. Enjoy the program.
Hey family, welcome back to Buzzworthy Veterans. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. Today I have the honor of sitting next to Robert Nunley with Crimson Resolve. Robert, thank you so much for being here today.
It's an honor to be here, sir. Thank you.
So, before we jump into Crimson Resolve, because the name alone sounds so legit, I want to know more about it. Tell me a little bit about your military career.
I enlisted United States Marine Corps, 2001. Dumb grunt, right, with 311.
Hey, I'm an 8404, so I'm a corpsman. I'm an 8404 corpsman. I served with tons of cranny and grunts.
Went to 3rd Light Armor Reconnaissance Battalion, Apache Company. We were there for the invasion in 2003. We served during that, then we went back in 2004 for another deployment, and decided in 2005 it was time to get out. Spent a couple years, I guess, wondering, soul searching a bit. 2008, I got recalled for another tour, this time a non-combat tour. Right, so it was a blessing. And 2009, I decided it was time to go to college.
Nice. And so where were you stationed?
29 Palms.
29 Palms. So I was at 29 Palms.
I'm sorry.
I know. I went there multiple times. I got attached to 3-4 out of 29 Palms. So we did that. We did EMV, CAX, Mojave Viper. You know, they keep changing the names. I've been out there several times, and I definitely know the pleasure of Joshua Tree and 29 Palms and the Oasis and all that good jazz out there.
It's a unique place.
I definitely understand, and it's a special place in my heart. So, all right, we're going to fast forward. You went to college. What did you go to college for?
Networking and telecommunications.
And is that what tied you to Crimson Resolve?
So curiosity kind of tied me to Crimson Resolve. I was studying networking at school, and in my free time, I kind of want to see how to break things. So if we learned about switch security in class, then I got out of class, I want to know how to bypass it, how to get around it. And so, yeah, since curiosity kind of started leading me down the garden path there. Okay,
so all right, let's jump into Crimson Resolve. Tell us about it.
Crimson Resolve is a cybersecurity company. We provide professional services such as risk assessments, compliance auditing, penetration testing, those kind of things, threat hunting, forensics.
Okay, so people hire you to actually try and break their system.
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Yeah, so you know, we can do physical penetration tests, so testing physical security, social engineering, where we try to manipulate people effectively into enabling us to compromise the organization. Or we could do network, web assessments, those kind of things.
Okay, and so if you're successfully penetrating them and you've done that, do you offer like how to fix it, or you just let them know that there's holes?
So that's the value. Is it's not just saying, look what we can do. You know, the value is evaluating it from an adversary's perspective, understanding the potential tactics, techniques, procedures, and motives that an adversary might use, and then applying that information to help the organization prioritize what they need to assess or address and fix. And then that's where the value comes in.
Okay, awesome. Obviously, this day and age with social media and more people at home on their laptops, you know, so I'm sure there's a greater risk now more than ever.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit. I want to kind of jump into that middle section. So you were in, you got out. You said you did a little bit of social searching. How was that process for you?
You know, I didn't really have any direction. I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do or I wanted to be, what I was really doing with my life. You know, just kind of making it. It wasn't until really I had, you know, found out that I was going to be a father that I started, you know, thinking, wow, I need to start taking things seriously. Mm-hmm. And that was when I started, decided to go to college.
Awesome. With you floating out there and there being, you know, a lot of paths, sometimes it gets confusing. Was there any service that kind of helped you navigate that?
Yes, sir. So I found the Wounded Warrior Project. reached out to them, and there's people contacting me, making sure that hey, are you making your appointments? Are you doing your VA appointments and whatnot? How are you doing? Do you need work? How are things? And just that level of care, that was pretty great.
That's awesome. They're definitely a operation and a cause near and dear to a lot of veterans' hearts, and I'm glad to be sitting next to a recipient of that care.
Thank you, sir. I'm proud to be here.
If anybody wanted to reach out to you regarding Crimson Resolve, how can they do that?
I think you go to our website, www.crimsonresolve.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the family.
Thank you, sir.
All right, family, that's going to do it for this episode of Buzzworthy Veterans. If you would like to learn more about Crimson Resolve, please visit iwannabuzz.com. That's going to do it. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. And remember, always vets, always family. I'll see you next time.
From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, time once again for The Horse's Mouth here on Buzz TV. We're at Tommy Mac's place having a good time, and brought to you by thefirewatch.org, a veteran suicide prevention program, and we are honored to have them on board. I'm honored to always have our veterans here on this show. Larry Selzo makes a return visit. Hey, Larry.
Hey.
Cheers, my friend.
Nice. How are you?
Good to see you. Linton McLean is here. How are you, my man?
Good. How are you?
Cheers to you and Bruce Bradley.
Morning.
Great to see you. First of all, thank you all for your service.
Welcome.
Continued service down there for my man Bruce. Larry, how you been doing?
Good.
Good to see you. I missed you about a week ago, but you're back in action.
I'm back.
You missed those liquid carbs, didn't you?
I did.
That's what it is, isn't it? How's business going? Everything good?
Business is good.
Good.
They're,
The lending
keeping
world
busy.
is perking
starting
up,
picking
isn't
up,
it?
yep.
Yeah, I've seen that myself. As you and I both know, we kind of dabble in that. Linton McLean is here, former Navy veteran, and who owns his own business as well. You entered the Navy right out of high school.
Right.
How was that?
It was
Eye-opening?
Eye-opening
Was
from a small town. It really opened my eyes to things I never saw before.
Okay. How about within yourself, getting yourself ready, because you're a successful guy now. How big of a part did the military play in that?
Big deal, because coming from a small town, I really didn't understand the dynamics of all the different parts of our social, economic system.
You mean all the BS we got to sift through and navigate through. I know.
So it was a big deal coming from that small town to seeing people from all walks of life going to another country. And so it really put me on a path to see that there was more in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bruce is here. Bruce, you're active duty, right? Currently?
No,
Or are you retired? Oh, you are
Civilian.
retired. I'm sorry. Okay, but you did 34 years
Yes.
in active duty with the U.S. Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. Biggest wave you've ever been in.
35 to 40 feet.
What? Holy cow. For how long? A couple hours? What are we talking?
About 12 hours trying to get from San Francisco back to my home port in Eureka, California.
Oh, my gosh. No kidding.
87-foot boat. I think
Wow.
we got about 90% out of the water at one point.
No kidding. How do you get used to that? Like, are you scared during that? Like, what's going through your mind when you're in that kind of a storm and that kind of situation?
What's the next one doing? But that was later in my career. I started out driving motor lifeboats, the ones that roll in the surf
Oh, wow.
and come up still running. So
Okay.
big waves have always been, it's like a roller coaster on steroids.
I bet it is. Oh, my gosh. I'd be throwing up everywhere. I can only imagine.
Uncontrolled.
Only imagine. Is the Pacific Ocean the roughest, or does it not really matter?
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They both can be bad on the wrong day.
Yeah, wow. Wow. What are you doing today, Bruce? What are you up to?
I still work for the Coast Guard.
Okay.
I work out of the Jacksonville office. I oversee all the search and rescue operations in this part of the state.
Wow. Wow. How many of those go on a year? Is that you don't have to give me a number, but a lot or?
So far this year, and we go from October going forward, we're at about 100
Wow.
cases we've run, but there's a whole bunch of other things because we've got a plethora of other agencies between JSO, Volusia County, and St.
Yeah.
John. I mean, all the police and fire departments do a lot too.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
So-
That's some job description, Larry.
Yeah. It is.
Wow.
Are you you were in the Navy too? You were
No. Full Air Force.
Oh, you were Air
time.
Force. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So you stayed away from the ships.
Stay away from the ships.
Linton knows about the ships,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Could you handle that? The high seas, was that a problem at all?
I was on a carrier.
Okay.
So
You didn't really feel it?
We didn't feel it. It was a little bit of movement this way and a little bit that way, but not like that.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Linton, tell us about Dar1 Professional Coaching, your business.
So what I do is I try to take people through some of the experiences that I've had with kind of not feeling confident about making the next step in life, whether it be, hey, I'm trying to look for another job, or I'm trying to take on something I've never done before. And I put them in the hot seat and just try to get them in the point where they have that courage to take that next step and feel like they can finish it up.
Yep. Kind of like Shark Tank? Like, here you are, man. Let's go. You better be ready, right?
Yeah, but once they get there, it's them. It's not me. It's all them.
What did you take from your transition to be able to start this business and help people, whether they're transitioning from the military, sports, what have you? How do you handle that?
You know, I love that question because the biggest thing is, like, you can do it. No matter how difficult it may be, no matter how far you might go down, you know, it's just like we talked about with that boat. You're going to come back up. But you got to hang in there, you know, no matter how bad it gets, you know. And when I had those days when I just didn't know if I was going to, you know, make it through, that's what kind of going through that military experience and getting out, it taught me that, hey, just keep going. You know, if you give up now, there's no chance.
That's right.
But if you keep going, you still got a chance. So that every day just kind of believe, even when it doesn't work out. That's what I got from all of that.
So I have a tagline in all my emails: believe, create, hustle.
Oh wow!
Right, and it's true. You gotta believe. You gotta you create your own business, and you gotta hustle your butt off.
Yep.
If you want anything in this life, you better work for it.
Absolutely.
So you help them build confidence.
Yep.
And you help them to realize what their skills are and help them to talk about
Yep.
their skills and what they can bring to the table.
Absolutely. And what I really focus on with them is trying to get them to bring it to life.
Yeah.
Not just within their thought, but just to say, hey, what will this really take? You know, I'm not used to getting up early. Is that the person I am?
Right.
You know, I have to work 80 hours a week as opposed to 40, and I'm not going to get paid for it.
Right.
In the beginning.
Right.
You've got to be okay with that because that's the path through that.
Yeah.
But once you know what it takes and you say, hey, I'm willing to do that for it, it's possible.
Yeah, and I think the communication, I think you guys learned that in the military, right? You got to communicate.
Yeah.
You just, whatever's on the mind, whatever you're going to be told, whatever you have to say, you just got to put it out there, and then you decide if you're comfortable with it. Would you agree with that, Bruce?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime something goes wrong, it comes back to one of the base problems was communications.
Right. Yeah. Some kind of miscommunication somewhere along the line that didn't get done. Now, you're still kind of involved. So was the transition hard for you, Bruce, getting out of the Coast Guard, or you're still kind of in it? So what do you...
Taking off the uniform was hard.
Was it?
Yeah, because, I mean, I was lucky to put it on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Joined, just like Lynn did, out of high school. Figured I'd go in, learn a skill, get out. I wanted to drive boats. I figured people pay me a lot of money to drive their boats.
Yeah, right, right.
But nobody was going to pay me to drive their boat in the surf. So I just kind of stayed out and drove boats for a very long time.
Okay.
So at this point now, doing this, I had to get away from the active side. Now I do the oversight of the search planning and everything.
Okay. Wow.
So it was a different perspective. I miss being on the water.
Yep.
But I also love the body of work that we do.
Yeah, well, you're saving people, right?
Yep.
Yeah, people get in trouble out there, man. I told you my story. I got stuck out there, and it was brutal. I mean, it was brutal, and it wasn't life or death. It was just scary. You know, although it was 2 weeks before training camp, I could have killed everybody on that day. But it was a relief when the Coast Guard finally came to save us. So you're doing great work, man.
So do you also search, rescue with not just boats, civilians, but also with boats that are being attacked by, I guess, today's pirates and that kind of thing as well?
The Coast Guard does, but thankfully not around here.
Okay.
Yeah, we just deal in pretty much from a little bit north of St. Mary's down to south of Canaveral, out to 200 miles.
Out 200.
So with aircraft, boats, agency partners, other DOD assets, anybody we can get to help us.
Right.
Sometimes.
That's a big piece of water to find somebody in.
Yep.
Right? No matter how big the ship or boat.
Right. And now we're with the whole space program starting to launch back up with manned launches going again, we have our hands in that also.
Wow.
Because when they're putting people up, if something goes wrong, somebody's got to find them.
Okay, I got to ask this. It's probably a dumb question, but I'm going to ask anyway. What's the largest mammal you've ever seen in the ocean? Ever see a big whale, big shark?
I've seen
anything?
big whales. I
Have
saw
you?
what was probably about a 25-foot great white.
Did you really?
Wow.
Yeah, up
Off the
off New England, no.
off New England. Woo, thank you. I mean, 20-footers we can handle. 25, it's so
Wow.
much.
No, in the summertime, they're up there. In the
Yeah,
winter
that's
time,
right.
it's just like snowbirds. They come
They
down.
come
here.
down here.
Yeah.
Wow, 25 feet. Unbelievable. All right, as we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of one of you a question. What message do you have to veterans that have retired or left the service and they're trying to figure out their next step? You got any advice for them?
Be patient, because a lot of that initial transition leaving is hard because you're used to having a scripted lifestyle for the most part.
Right.
And now you have to get into something that isn't. So hopefully you've built a background on what you want to do, or if you don't, you're just going to have to be patient and realize that you may not find it initially.
Okay.
Go to the next thing. Try
Yep.
what you want, or get lucky and find your passion and just enjoy it.
Keep trying.
If you're not having fun, it's
not worth
it's
it, is
work.
it? Yeah. What do you say, Linton? Same?
I would say, as you said, be patient and just really give yourself a chance.
Yep.
I think that especially in today's world, we put so much pressure on ourselves to perform right away.
Yep.
And with so many people having access to one another, that pressure has increased through social media.
Yep.
And so you can see someone just, oh, they did it, and
Yep.
and now they did it, and
Yep.
I'm getting left behind. But give yourself that patience to really figure out what works for you and make sure it feels right and fits right.
Yep.
And once you do that, you don't have to worry about getting that validation from anything external. It'll all be internal.
Right.
And that's what it goes back to what you were saying, what you're saying, getting to that part where you can hustle.
Yep.
You've got to know that you're ready and you want to do it internally.
Yep.
And then it's worth every moment.
Well, if you just start by hustle, you'll be, what do they say, like a chicken with its head cut.
Absolutely.
You won't have any direction. It's great that you like to hustle, but you might be running in circles or against a brick wall. Larry, final word.
I would also add just, for those who, veterans that serve, whether they're 4-year, short-term, or a 20-year career in the military, to get connected with, individuals like Linton or individuals who've already done that transition from military to civilian. Do your research, on how to transcribe or convert your military resume into a civilian resume.
Yep.
And hopefully that'll kind of give them a
We
good
hear a
head
lot.
start.
Do it while you're in, too, right? At least
Exactly,
start
yeah.
while you're in.
Yeah.
If you're getting out, then you got to start planning while you're still serving,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Absolutely.
the military does a good job as you're getting ready to get out, giving you some transitional training.
Yep.
And most people, and I'm sure Linton will tell you the same thing, you go to that and you're sitting there thinking, I should have done this 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm not ready.
Absolutely.
And they start early on planning your exit, even if it's going to be 10, 20 years
Wow.
down the road.
Great advice.
Even clothing. I remember going through the clothing from
Yeah.
military
Yeah,
clothing
right,
to making
Yeah.
sure your belt and shoes match.
Yeah, that's right.
that
That's
kind of
key.
thing. So
Socks, too.
Yep.
Throw those in there. And the handkerchief. Got it. It's all got to match. Well, cheers, everybody. Thank you once again for your service
Thank
and
you
being
all.
on the show. It's been an absolute
Pleasure.
Way to go. That'll do it for us this time around on the Horse's Mouth, a veteran-themed edition that we love doing, brought to you by the Firewatch.org, a veteran suicide prevention program. Go check out that website and become a watch stander. Until next time, cheers.
Hey family, welcome back to Buzzworthy Veterans. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. Today I have the honor of sitting next to Brewmaster himself, Ron Gamble with Veterans United Craft Brewery. Ron, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, sure. It's my pleasure.
So, before I get into the excitement of the brewery and how that even came about, tell us a little about your military service.
I served 8 years active duty, 4 years reserve in the U.S. Navy.
I went to college under a Navy R2C scholarship. I was commissioned in 1987, went to flight school, got my wings, and then I was stationed here in Jacksonville at Naval Air Station Cecil Field, and flew off of USS Forrestal, which was one of the 2 aircraft carriers based out of Mayport at the time.
Man, pilots are super cool. Like I can never be one. I need glasses, but that is just super cool. Tell us, what is probably the most exciting or interesting thing about being up there in the air?
Well, I'd say I love the Navy. I mean, who gets to take off and land on a ship that's rocking and rolling? And to me, that was the ultimate of excitement. I went into the Navy right around when Top Gun was out, so that was like the biggest thing. So it was something I was very passionate. I wanted to do something exciting, and that held all the cards for me.
I'm ready to go be a pilot now.
There you go. So.
All right, so tell us, how do we go from Navy pilot to brewmaster?
Yeah, it was a long journey. So I got out in '95. I got my MBA from Virginia Tech, and so I knew a buddy I flew with, and we got a company started out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was right when the internet was taking off, and so from there, he and I did a couple of internet startups, very successful, sold them to the likes of Intuit, Lycos, AC Nielsen, and so from there, it was fun, but I ended up getting a home brew kit in 1999 from my wife as a hobby. And from there, the hobby took over as a passion. And then in 2007, I was, as you know, as an entrepreneur, startups, they can burn you out a little bit. So I wanted to take some time off. So I went to the Siebel Institute. It's one of the oldest brewing schools in the country. Finished my studies in Germany at a German brewing school, and then came back, and I was, hey, I'm here to try to learn, and even though you have this formal education, you still have to start at the very bottom, and whether it be as assistant brewer, and then from there I kind of worked my way up, knowing that I always wanted to start my own brewery. And we were living in Massachusetts at the time. My wife's from Florida. She's a Navy brat, and so she likes warm weather. So we said, if we're going to start a company, we want to do it down in Florida, and in Northeast Florida, and specifically Jacksonville.
Awesome. And so you moved down here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you envision Veterans United Craft Brewery? Was that what you?
Oh yeah, that was the risk. I often look back and go, I mean, talk about sweating bullets. What happens if we moved down here and it didn't take off, or I didn't pull it all together? We jumped in and sold our house in Massachusetts and moved here. My wife's a pharmacist, and my goal was to get the brewery going. I didn't have any other job but to get that going.
So tell us a little bit about the company itself. What are you doing within the company?
Sure. So again, we're Veterans United Craft Brewery. I'm the Brewmaster president. We are a production brewery, which means we distribute our beer into cans throughout Northeast Florida here. In production-wise, we're probably about the third or so largest brewery in the city, with Bold City and Intuition ahead of us. And we've been growing every year since we started. We're going on year 7 this year. We've expanded. We're as far south as Daytona, and we're still looking to grow our distribution business. We have a tap room here in town on the south side.
Wow, that sounds awesome, and it sounds like we could potentially visit.
Yeah, that's the best way to experience. We got about 22 different beers on tap. Everything from a German style Pilsner to a cherry sour to an imperial stout. So, and we're always releasing a new beer every week. This week, let's see, I'm trying to think. We have we call it a chocolate peppermint ale. So it's chocolate peppermint. It's got a dog on it, and the theme is Valentine's. So it's Valentine's Day. So
Clever.
But every week we have chocolate strawberry. We do a lot of little innovative types of beers. Next week it's our German box style beer called Mir Bitte. So more, please. But
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I know the business. I know you're military, but I know you have a passion for community. How is the community working with Veterans United Craft Brewery?
Yeah, so we've worked with several local veteran organizations. The latest one that we've been working with is called Firewatch. What they do is they train individuals, train companies to
recognize symptoms of veterans who may be, at risk of committing suicide. So we're one of the first Firewatch certified businesses here in Jacksonville, which means over 50% of our employees have gone through the training plan. And to help raise awareness to their program, we brewed a special beer called the Watchstander IPA. So, because once you get certified, you become a watchstander.
Absolutely.
And it's I think at about 15 accounts around town right now, including the brewery. So with it, there's some limited release coasters that went out, so you could scan, and learn more about the program and sign up to take a course online to become a watchstander. So
absolutely, the watchstander is definitely a place. Here at Buzzworthy Veterans, I'm a watchstander, so it's important, and I know that our community needs them. So that's awesome that you've partnered with them, and I've also contributed to that cause.
Yeah, and the beer we chose, if you're familiar, it's called a Hazy Juicy IPA, or a New England style. They tend to be incredibly hazy, not too bitter, very flavorful in hops. So it was one of those we wanted to spark a discussion when, hey, what beer are you drinking over there? Why is it so hazy? Is it supposed to be that way? Oh yeah, that's the Watchstander IPA, and hopefully, that would go into it. What do you mean? Well, what's a Watchstander? And lead to a conversation.
Absolutely, conversation starters are important.
Yep. So, but yeah, it's been a real successful. It was a fun project, and we're hoping if it takes off, maybe we'll even put it into a can later this year. So all of our beers at Winn-Dixie, Publix, Total Wine, ABC. So
okay, perfect. So if anybody wanted to find out more about your company, visit such and such, how can they go about doing that?
I'd say the best way is actually stop by our tap room. We're located just south of Bay Meadows Road on a little access road called Western Way. We're mostly a production brewery with a small tap room up front, so you think you're going and getting lost. We're not on the main street, but we've got some really cool paraphernalia in there, a lot of unique military posters, some ones that have been donated to us. We've got some World War II memorabilia, so some really neat stuff. So I like to say every brewery, especially craft brewery, has its own unique character, and ours obviously is our heritage of who we are and what we're proud of, not just the beer, but it's our service as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being part of the family.
Thank you very much.
All right, family, that's going to do it for this episode of Buzzworthy Veteran. If you would like to find out more about the Craftmaster and what they're doing over there, go ahead and visit iwannabuzz.com. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. And remember, always vets, always family. I'll see you next time.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Veterans United. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. There's a role for everybody. Join us as a watchstander. Visit thefirewatch.org and learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis, how to ask veterans if they need help, and how to get veterans the help they need. Together, we will end veteran suicide. The Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. Today is military... Okay, it was going so well.